You thought your kindness was unnoticed, that every act of mercy, every moment of patience, every sacrifice you made in silence would go unnoticed, unappreciated, and unremembered. But what if I told you that your kindness was never random, that every smile you offered, every hand you extended, every heart you forgave was a divine test from Allah, designed to separate the ordinary from the chosen, the weak from the strong, and the distracted from the destined? And here's the astonishing truth. While the world doubted you, while the elite underestimated you, they unknowingly handed you the master key, a key that unlocks power, influence, and destiny reserved only for those who walk with sincerity, patience, and faith. Stay with me, because these 7 lessons will reveal why your kindness was never weakness, why every trial you endured was preparation, and how Allah has positioned you to rise in ways they could never imagine. Every act of kindness you extended, every word spoken with sincerity, every sacrifice made quietly in the shadows, was never just a gesture. It was a divine mirror reflecting the true nature of those around you, and more importantly, shaping the depth and resilience of your own soul. When you offered your hand, shared your wealth, or forgave the one who wronged you, Allah was testing not only your generosity but your discernment, separating the loyal from the opportunists, the sincere from the deceitful, because the world has a way of disguising truth behind smiles, titles, and appearances, and it is only through the unwavering patience of your kindness that the reality of hearts is revealed, as those who cannot handle mercy show their envy, their greed, their weakness, and their duplicity, while those worthy of your trust and companionship shine forth with authenticity, loyalty, and gratitude. And in every rejection, every betrayal, every unnoticed act of goodness, Allah is quietly sculpting your heart, teaching you to value integrity over recognition, sincerity over reward, and humility over the desire for applause. Because the elite, the manipulators, the ones who measure power through control, will never understand that true power lies not in domination or intimidation, but in a heart that remains compassionate even when tested, merciful even when ignored, and steadfast even when exploited. And when you learn this truth deeply, you begin to see that kindness is not weakness, it is divine clarity, a lens through which the illusions of the world are shattered, and a spiritual compass that guides you toward those who are aligned with your purpose, protecting you from those who would drain your energy, exploit your generosity, or attempt to cloud your vision. And in this process, your kindness becomes not just a reflection of your heart, but a weapon, a light, and a key that reveals who truly deserves to walk beside you on the path Allah has destined for you. Because those who remain faithful to kindness, patience, and integrity, even in the face of ingratitude and betrayal, are not merely surviving the test, they are passing it. And through this, they are being elevated to a status, influence, and spiritual clarity that the world cannot replicate, imitate, or understand. And in this revelation, you begin to comprehend that every trial your kindness faced was not punishment, but preparation. Every betrayal was not failure, but confirmation. And every unnoticed act of mercy was not wasted, but recorded in ways seen by Allah alone, shaping you into someone untouchable, discerning, and prepared to inherit the master key that only those who endure with genuine kindness are granted. Every moment of trial, every challenge that tests your heart, every situation that pushes your limits, is not a punishment, but a deliberate act of divine training, For Allah does not measure your worth by how easily you navigate life, but by how steadfastly you endure when the world seeks to break you. And patience is the secret instrument through which your soul is elevated beyond worldly comprehension, because when you resist the urge to react impulsively, when you restrain anger, when you forgive in silence, when you remain calm while others lose their composure, Allah is quietly shaping your character, refining your inner strength, and positioning you for victories that cannot be attained by haste or force. The trials you face, though often orchestrated by people who do not understand your value, or by circumstances that feel unjust, are in reality stepping stones to higher levels of spiritual and worldly influence, as each moment of endurance becomes a record of resilience, a mark of sincerity, and a shield against the toxicity of those who would seek to harm, manipulate, or exploit. And while the impatient fall into traps of frustration, despair, and resentment, the one who masters patience accumulates unseen treasures: wisdom to discern truth from deceit, clarity to navigate complex human dynamics, and favor from Allah that manifests indoors, opening silently, opportunities aligning mysteriously, and support arriving from sources unimaginable, because patience is not passive waiting. It is active trust in divine timing, a surrender to the wisdom of Allah that transforms adversity into advantage, hardship into elevation, and delay into divine preparation. And as you embrace this, you begin to see that every obstacle, every insult, every betrayal was never against you but for you, training you to walk with poise in a world of chaos, to lead with humility in a world of arrogance, and to inherit a destiny that only those who endure with unwavering patience can claim, turning every test into a ladder toward elevation, every trial into a testament of divine favor, and every moment of quiet endurance into a legacy of power, wisdom, and spiritual authority that no one can take away, because Allah's chosen do not merely survive trials, they are elevated through them, refined by them, and prepared to receive what the world cannot offer, and what only sincerity, faith, and patience can unlock. Your kindness, when extended with sincerity and without expectation, is not merely an act of generosity, it is a divine magnet, a subtle force that aligns the unseen energies of the universe in your favor, because every smile, every word of encouragement, every act of mercy, and every moment spent lifting another soul resonates beyond the perception of ordinary eyes. And while the world may overlook your efforts, misjudge your motives, or even attempt to exploit your goodwill, Allah is orchestrating outcomes that only those who walk with pure hearts can access, arranging situations, alliances, and opportunities that appear as coincidence, but are in reality the manifestation of divine decree. And it is in this quiet, unnoticed generosity that the elite, those who manipulate power and influence, unknowingly pave the way for your ascent, because they cannot see the subtle currents of divine favor that your sincerity attracts, nor can they measure the spiritual impact of patience and mercy. Yet their actions, their attempts to control or undermine, become instruments in Allah's hands, opening doors they guard unknowingly, providing access to knowledge, connections, and breakthroughs that are invisible to those who rely solely on worldly strategy. And, as you remain steadfast in kindness, even when it is unappreciated, misunderstood, or taken for granted, your heart becomes attuned to opportunities that the selfish, the greedy, and the manipulative can never perceive, because kindness is more than morality. It is a key that unlocks the pathways of destiny, a bridge that connects the ordinary to the extraordinary, and a silent force that commands respect, attention, and divine favor without ever demanding it. And through this realization, you begin to understand that the same hands that were overlooked, dismissed, or betrayed now hold the ability to access what others covet, that the moments spent in mercy were investments in spiritual and worldly capital, and that the elite, in trying to manipulate, control, or diminish your light, are unwittingly assisting in your elevation, proving that when kindness is genuine, unwavering, and rooted in faith, it becomes not only a reflection of your soul but a lever of destiny, a master key that opens doors others cannot even see, and a testament to the truth that those chosen by Allah are guided, protected, and positioned for greatness that transcends the limitations of human understanding, recognition, or praise. Betrayal, though it cuts deep and leaves scars on the heart, is never a reflection of your weakness or failure. Rather, it is a sign that Allah entrusted you with a level of spiritual, emotional, and even worldly power that others cannot comprehend, because only those capable of carrying responsibility, influence, and divine favor are tested in this way. And when someone you trusted, someone you extended your kindness to, or someone you supported in silence, chooses deception, greed, or manipulation, it is not a condemnation of your judgment, but a divine calibration, a deliberate test to reveal who is truly aligned with your path and who is merely a passerby in your destiny. For Allah places the right people and the wrong people around you, not to punish you, but to illuminate your worth. And through the sting of betrayal, your vision sharpens, your discernment becomes precise, and your heart learns to value integrity, loyalty, and sincerity over superficial charm, flattery, or temporary alliances. Because the world is filled with those who mimic virtue but are hollow within, and only those who walk with genuine kindness and unwavering faith can see through the masks that others wear, recognizing who is a true companion and who is a disguised obstacle. And as painful as betrayal feels in the moment, it is in fact a divine shield, removing those whose presence would distract, harm, or drain you. And in doing so, it clears the path for those who are meant to walk with you, serve alongside you, and support your mission. Because when Allah elevates someone, He allows the trials of disloyalty and deceit to surface so that the chosen heart is prepared to handle power without compromise, influence without corruption, and responsibility without arrogance. And this is why betrayal should never be internalized as a mark of inadequacy, but recognized as a confirmation of value, a signal that your life, your actions, and your intentions are of such magnitude that they draw envy, fear, and opposition from those who cannot match your integrity, wisdom, or spiritual alignment. And through this lens, you begin to understand that every act of treachery is a hidden blessing, a divine test that purifies your heart, clarifies your mission, and cements your position as someone capable of wielding the gifts, opportunities, and responsibilities that Allah has designed exclusively for you, because the higher the purpose, the greater the trials, and betrayal is often the instrument by which Allah separates the ordinary from the extraordinary, revealing to you, in ways unmistakable, that your journey is not for everyone to accompany, your power is not for everyone to witness, and your destiny is not for everyone to comprehend. And when viewed this way, betrayal ceases to feel like a wound, and instead becomes a mark of trust, a divine recognition that you have been chosen, prepared, and entrusted with a path that is far greater than the comprehension of those who failed to remain loyal, proving that every act of deceit aimed at you ultimately fortifies your position, sharpens your awareness, and positions you to inherit the blessings, opportunities, and influence that are reserved only for the faithful, the patient, and those whose hearts are aligned with the will of Allah. There is an unparalleled strength in silence, a power that the world rarely understands, because while people speak to dominate, manipulate, and impress, those who remain quiet carry a presence that cannot be challenged, measured, or diminished. And your silence, when rooted in patience, faith, and wisdom, becomes a force that disarms hostility, exposes hidden agendas, and elevates you above the chaos that surrounds the ordinary, for Allah has designed silence as a shield for the chosen, a tool that allows the divine to work invisibly while the world is busy, measuring strength in noise, confrontation, and reaction. And in every moment you restrain a sharp word, hold back an argument, or choose not to defend yourself against injustice, your power grows, unseen yet undeniable, because your restraint communicates confidence, wisdom, and a spiritual alignment that no worldly recognition can match. And while the elite, manipulators, and opportunists expend energy plotting, scheming, and attempting to provoke, your calm and measured presence becomes a mirror in which their true intentions are reflected and their weaknesses exposed. For silence does not signify passivity or submission. It signifies control, mastery, and awareness of the forces at play. And it is in this quietude that Allah orchestrates your elevation, aligning opportunities, protecting your heart, and positioning you to inherit favor and influence that those who speak impulsively will never access, because the world often confuses noise with authority, reaction with strength, and recognition with validation. Yet true power is cultivated in the moments where you remain unseen, unheard, and unshaken, letting Allah move in ways beyond human comprehension, and your silence becomes a language of dominance that cannot be interrupted, undermined, or diminished, because those who are obsessed with controlling outcomes, gaining approval, or asserting superiority are unable to penetrate the calm and deliberate aura of someone whose heart, mind, and spirit are aligned with divine wisdom. And as you embrace this, you begin to see that silence is not a limitation, but an amplifier, a conduit through which patience, discernment, and integrity manifest into authority, influence, and divine protection. And the challenges you endure, the provocations you face, and the insults or betrayals you withhold reaction to are all instruments that Allah uses to refine your power, deepen your clarity, and prepare you for levels of leadership and destiny that cannot be attained through noise, argument, or confrontation. Because the elite, the manipulative, and those who thrive on drama will never understand that true authority is silent yet commanding, invisible yet undeniable, humble yet unshakable, and your ability to maintain composure, restrain your tongue, and let your actions speak in alignment with Allah's will, transforms your kindness, patience, and integrity into a weapon that cannot be countered, exposing falsehood, revealing truth, and allowing the divine to open doors, align allies, and create opportunities that are invisible to those who measure power superficially. And in this, you realize that every moment of restraint, every unspoken word, every act of silent endurance is not wasted but invested, recorded, and magnified by Allah, creating a spiritual authority that not only protects you from harm, but positions you to inherit influence, respect, and blessings that cannot be challenged, manipulated, or stolen, because the silent heart, the patient soul, and the steadfast spirit hold a power that the noise of the world cannot comprehend, and those who attempt to challenge or provoke you only serve to amplify your elevation, proving that in silence you are untouchable, unstoppable, and aligned with a destiny that cannot be derailed by the schemes of the arrogant, the manipulative, or the unfaithful. For Allah's chosen know that quietude is not absence of action. It is the mastery of influence, the refinement of character, and the amplification of power that sets you apart as a vessel of divine wisdom, guidance, and unstoppable authority. And through this, silence transforms from a mere choice into a weapon, a shield, and a signal to the world that your presence alone carries weight, commands respect, and positions you to receive the rewards, recognition, and destiny that only those who endure quietly, faithfully, and patiently are prepared to inherit, proving that the greatest power is never shouted. It is felt, seen, and revered by those who witness the calm force of a heart aligned with Allah, a soul disciplined by patience, and a spirit elevated through trials. And this is why the silent remain untouchable, the steadfast unshakable, and the chosen unstoppable. Your sincerity is not merely a quality of the heart, it is the divine code, the invisible force, and the spiritual master key that unlocks doors no strategy, no wealth, no worldly influence can ever reach. Because while the world measures power by visibility, status, and control, Allah measures it by intention, purity, and unwavering faith. And every act you perform, every word you speak, every kindness extended without expectation, and every moment of patience maintained in the face of misunderstanding or betrayal is being recorded, amplified, and aligned with your destiny in ways unseen, unnoticed by human eyes but meticulously observed in the heavens. And it is this sincerity that elevates you above the schemes of the arrogant, the manipulations of the deceitful, and the envy of the worldly elite. Because while they rely on deception, calculation, and show, your heart remains a sanctuary of truth, a fortress of integrity, and a conduit for divine favor. And through this purity of intention, the unseen doors to knowledge, opportunity, and influence swing open effortlessly, for the elite, in all their planning and plotting, unknowingly position circumstances that favor you, arrange alliances that serve your mission, and create openings that only your sincerity could activate. Yet they cannot recognize it, cannot predict it, and cannot replicate it, because what Allah grants through sincerity is a power that defies imitation, resists manipulation, and transcends worldly logic. And it is in this hidden, often overlooked practice that the chosen are distinguished from the ordinary. For those who are sincere attract the right people, circumstances, and guidance, not through force, negotiation, or coercion, but through alignment with divine will. And every act of false flattery, every attempt to control, exploit, or deceive becomes a step that propels the sincere forward, clearing obstacles that the impatient or insincere could never overcome. And as you cultivate this sincerity, your influence expands quietly yet undeniably, for the world may see only your humility, patience, or kindness, but Allah sees the depth of your heart, the precision of your intention, and the purity of your mission, and in response, the unseen realm moves to elevate you in ways that surpass human comprehension, turning obstacles into opportunities, betrayal into clarity, delay into divine timing, and challenges into instruments of growth and elevation. And through this, you begin to understand that sincerity is not passive. It is the active currency of destiny, a force that shapes reality, aligns outcomes, and positions the chosen to inherit blessings, leadership, and authority that no one else can access. Because only those whose hearts are untarnished by ego, greed, or desire for recognition can wield it effectively, and it is precisely this quality that the elite fear but cannot touch, cannot manipulate, and cannot replicate, because what flows from sincere intention is a power that resonates in the unseen, attracting allies, guidance, and opportunities that are invisible to those who measure life superficially. And as you remain steadfast in your sincerity, even when met with misunderstanding, betrayal, or neglect, you are being equipped with a master key, a spiritual code that opens doors to knowledge, influence, protection, and destiny, creating an alignment between your actions, your faith, and Allah's plan that no worldly calculation can achieve. And this alignment ensures that the paths meant for you cannot be blocked, the blessings designated for you cannot be delayed, and the influence entrusted to you cannot be stolen, because sincerity is not just a quality, it is the instrument through which Allah manifests favor, guidance, and divine protection. And the higher the mission, the greater the test. And the greater the test, the more powerful the master key becomes. And as you walk through life, guided by genuine intention, every step, every act of mercy, every moment of patience, every silent endurance, and every heartfelt prayer compounds into a force that commands respect, opens doors, and aligns destiny. And those who attempt to manipulate, deceive, or undermine you unknowingly contribute to this alignment, setting the stage for your rise while remaining blind to the fact that what they intended for harm becomes the very mechanism of your elevation, proving that sincerity is not just a virtue, it is a weapon, a key, a shield, and a signal to the world that you are protected, chosen, and positioned for outcomes that transcend human understanding. And in the end, your unwavering sincerity transforms challenges into triumphs, betrayal into wisdom, patience into power, and kindness into influence, creating a legacy that is uniquely yours, divinely guided, and unstoppable, because those who possess the master key of sincerity inherit a destiny no one else can claim, a power no one else can wield, and a favor no one else can replicate, proving that the truest form of strength lies not in control, domination, or recognition, but in the purity of the heart, the depth of intention, and the unwavering alignment with Allah's will. And it is this alignment, cultivated through sincere action and steadfast faith, that ensures the chosen are elevated, protected, and prepared to claim what has been divinely written for them, while the world, in its arrogance and ignorance, remains blind to the force that moves silently, invisibly, and irresistibly through those who are sincere. Kindness, when wielded with faith, patience, and sincerity, is far more powerful than any sword, strategy, or worldly influence, because it carries the invisible weight of divine authority and the unassailable strength of a heart aligned with Allah's will. And those who underestimate it, mock it, or attempt to manipulate it are often blinded by arrogance, ignorance, or greed, unable to comprehend that the very mercy and compassion they see as weakness is, in truth, a weapon of spiritual clarity, a shield of divine protection, and a force that exposes the deceit, envy, and malevolence of those who oppose you. For every act of generosity, every word spoken in patience, every forgiveness granted in silence, and every sacrifice made without expectation carries an energy that moves unseen, influencing circumstances, altering outcomes, and positioning the faithful in alignment with divine destiny. And while the elite, manipulators, and those obsessed with control believe they dictate power through intimidation, calculation, or manipulation, the faithful, armed with genuine kindness, wield a force that the world cannot predict, counter, or diminish, because their strength is not measured by noise, recognition, or material wealth, but by intention, integrity, and alignment with Allah's decree. And in this, every attempt to undermine, betray, or provoke only serves to activate the weapon within, turning hostility into revelation, opposition into opportunity, and adversity into acceleration. For Allah has designed kindness as both test and tool, a measure of character and a method of elevation, and those who remain steadfast in it, even when unappreciated or attacked, discover that it dismantles illusions, shatters falsehood, and commands respect in ways no aggression ever could, exposing hypocrisy and revealing who is worthy to stand by their side while shielding them from those who seek to drain, deceive, or exploit. And it is in the mastery of this weapon that the faithful learn the profound truth, that mercy and discipline, patience and action, compassion and discernment, when combined with unwavering faith, create a force capable of navigating the most complex human and spiritual landscapes, influencing outcomes without confrontation, asserting authority without arrogance, and achieving victory without violence. And while the world seeks to measure power by control, manipulation, or fear, the faithful know that the real weapon lies in the heart, the intention, and the unwavering commitment to act rightly even when wronged, because kindness is not naive, it is strategic, it is deliberate, and it is divinely sanctioned, and every act of it, however small, accumulates unseen favor, opens doors that no schemer could ever unlock, and aligns circumstances to your advantage in ways that cannot be explained by human logic, creating a shield that protects from harm, a sword that pierces deception, and a light that illuminates the truth in darkness. And those who are faithful learn to wield this weapon with precision, knowing when to act, when to restrain, and when to trust Allah to move in the unseen, for the impact of kindness is not always immediate, but it is inevitable, and those who persist, endure, and maintain integrity find that the world, in all its schemes, opposition, and envy, only ends up reinforcing their elevation, because every attempt to challenge them becomes a step toward their destiny. Every act of cruelty or betrayal is transformed into fuel for spiritual power, and every injustice endured in patience multiplies the effectiveness of their weapon, proving that true strength is not loud, aggressive, or superficial, but quiet, deliberate, and aligned with divine will. And in this alignment, kindness becomes the ultimate instrument of authority, influence, and protection, a weapon that dismantles false hierarchies, exposes hidden motives, and opens pathways to opportunities, alliances, and blessings that the insincere, the manipulative, and the arrogant will never perceive, touch, or inherit, because only the faithful, those who wield kindness with intention, patience, and unwavering sincerity, hold the master key that unlocks the full potential of their destiny, transcends worldly limitations, and ensures that every trial, every act of opposition, and every test becomes a stepping stone to elevation, influence, and divine favor, proving beyond doubt that kindness, when fused with faith, is not merely an attribute of the heart. It is the most formidable weapon, the greatest shield, and the ultimate force for transformation, protection, and triumph. And those who understand this wield it silently, strategically, and unwaveringly, leaving a legacy that the world cannot erase, the elite cannot manipulate, and time cannot diminish, because the weapon of kindness, guided by the faithful, is unstoppable, untouchable, and divinely aligned with the will of Allah, ensuring that those who remain true to it are elevated, protected, and positioned to inherit blessings, opportunities, and a destiny that no one else could claim or achieve, proving once and for all that the strength of the faithful is measured not by domination, wealth, or recognition, but by the courage, patience, and unwavering sincerity with which they wield the divine weapon of kindness. As we come to the end of these 7 powerful lessons, remember this: your kindness was never random, your patience was never wasted, and your sincerity was never unnoticed, because every act of mercy, every moment of endurance, and every silent trial has been preparing you for a destiny that the world cannot comprehend, a destiny that only those chosen by Allah can inherit. The elite may have underestimated you, the world may have misunderstood you, and betrayal may have tested you, but in truth, they were all instruments in the divine plan, unknowingly handing you the master key, unlocking doors of influence, protection, and power that belong only to the faithful, the patient, and the sincere. Let this be a reminder that your heart, aligned with Allah's will, is your strongest weapon, your quietest strength, and your clearest guidance. And as you move forward, carry these lessons with you, that every challenge is preparation, every act of kindness is power, every trial is elevation, and every moment of patience is a step closer to your divine purpose. Walk with confidence, remain unwavering in sincerity, and let your kindness, patience, and integrity illuminate your path, because Allah's chosen are never lost, never weak, and never powerless. Their light always rises, their influence always expands, and their destiny always prevails. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to reflect, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and let it inspire you to continue walking the path of faith, strength, and divine alignment. Remember, your kindness is your master key, your faith is your armor, and Allah's plan for you is greater than anything the world can imagine.